I would like to say thank you so much for joining Women in the Law's first podcast. And if you can please introduce yourself.
Of course, yes. Hi, thank you. My name is Alejandra Bolanos. I am 22 years old and I'm currently a graduate from UC Riverside in a with a political science major with a concentration in law and society and a minor in feminist studies.
Perfect, thank you. And my first question is, why did you choose to study law?
I know for a fact that I've always loved like advocating and getting myself involved and just doing things that kind of like help others. And I know there's so many like branches in the world. Like I know there's um like medicine, and I know like there's like social work and teaching, and there's so many like aspects in life that I was like really interested in, but nothing really sparked my interest. Like I felt like I liked like a little bit of everything, but I was like, what am I good at? Like, what is something that I can see myself doing and something that I know I'm going to enjoy? As I started like joining various like activities in school, ever since I was in high school, I was like, I've always been like involved with like politics and advocating and, student government and all that stuff. So I was like, okay, something that I feel like I can do in the real world. Like, there's so many issues going around that I was like, I feel like I can bring myself like a little bit of a contribution if I like do like the legal world. And I mean, there's like so many things. Like there's a lot of movement going around, and I found myself attending like protests and like strikes and rallies, and I was like, as weird as it sounds, I'm enjoying this because I know that I'm helping people who have a voice. Like I know my voice isn't just, it's not any better than anyone's, but at least like I have a platform, that I have like a few followers, and I have like I have all the skills that I've picked up since I was like in high school. So I was like, there's like something that I can bring into the table if I continue like my advocacy. So it's just a matter of fact of like knowing what's gonna fit in into like my own like what I'm good at, and something that I know that it's gonna help in the future. Like I feel like if I have a voice, I can use it in like in the legal world, and I can use it with like advocating and helping others. So it was just more so like, what am I good at, and what's something that I like and something that I see myself doing.
My next question would be, what did you do outside of, classes during undergrad?
That's a great question. Like I said, I did a lot of like advocating and a lot of student government. When I was my first couple of, well, yeah, my first 2 years, it was online, it was COVID, so I wasn't really involved. Right when I stepped into my third year, I was like, okay, I'm ready. Let's see what I can do. And I noticed that there was a bunch of new legal organizations that I really enjoyed, and I was like, this is something that I'm really, really passionate about. And this is something that I see myself doing this, not only because it's fun, but it's because I feel useful. I feel really useful. I feel like I can, um, like bring in something to the table that maybe someone else can. And maybe like I don't shy away from like, speaking in public and reaching out and initiative and all those things. So I bump into Women in the Law, which was my first organization that I joined on campus. I applied, I got a position as a events and coordinator, which was great because it was my first club. So I was like, I want to make sure that as a board member, I know what I'm doing and I'm doing this the right way. So yeah, that went great. The following year, I obviously was super involved the whole year, helping, doing, learning, asking, and then I applied for vice president, and I got the position, and I worked super close with my president. I was really hands-on the whole time. Got some other skills, and I just really enjoy my time, and I feel like those skills were something that I took with me. Something else that I did was Latinx, which is another legal organization, but our main focus was helping students with Latino background, and just welcoming them in, bringing in like resources, materials, taking them to law schools, and helping them with the LSAT. As per Women in the Law, is a little bit more focused on like minorities and women. I also joined Judicial Council, where we focus on elections and like violations during elections and Senate meetings and like all those things. That's like more on like the student government side. And another thing that I joined and I absolutely love because it was such a fun but very like exposing to the more realistic world was external government, or I'm sorry, external affairs, which is also part of student government, and it was just so great. I learned so many skills. I learned to do simple like tech stuff that I didn't even know about, like doing like a spread, well, not a spreadsheet necessarily, but just like organizing and putting my life on like an actual agenda because there was so much going on, and learned to go like this meetings with other UC campuses. So it was great. I got myself super exposed and super involved that when I graduated, I was like, it's it's really intimidating. Like the adult world is super intimidating, but I do have like the skills that kind of like back me up and I know are gonna be super, super helpful going forward.
Right. And what other steps did you take during undergrad to better prepare you for law school and or the legal field?
Okay, so what I did, like I said, I was very, very involved. I feel like as soon as I knew my way around campus and I knew about the events and I knew about people, I used it to my advantage. As vice president, you're very exposed to bringing information in and talking to people and just, putting yourself out there and putting women in the law out there. So I learned about the alumni center, which is a great center to, go to networking dinners, meet people. So what I would do, I would just, sign myself up for an event. Let's say there was like lawyers or like attorney event coming up. So I would just go pay in my fee, go in as a presenter for women in the law, put ourselves out there, and I would talk to like the panelists and I would ask them questions and I would make myself notice. That way they could be like, okay, this person, I know her. She was engaging. She was very like, hands-on, very like part of this event. And I would just pick up business cards, ask them if I can, ask them back for like events that we had, if I could just email them with questions, if I could just have like a coffee chat. And then I did. I asked them back for events for women in the law for Latinx, depending on like their, demographics. And then I would just use them as my connection. So whatever, when I would see them back, obviously, they were referred to me since I was the one who kind of like brought them in and, invited them, and then whenever they were coming back, I would just make that connection with them. And funny enough, with one of the attorneys that I was able to like establish like a strong professional relationship, I when I graduated from UCR, like I was able to ask him if his law firm was hiring, and he helped me with like applying and like the whole application process, interviews. So I worked for them for a while I was kind of like getting adjusted and learning skills and everything. So super, super helpful, great attorney. And yeah, I mean, those are kind of like the steps that I took with I was able to like get myself so present in the moment that whenever we had those like workshops on like how to build a new resume, I was also working on my resume. So I was teaching them, but I was also using those skills for myself with like LinkedIn. Like I didn't know what LinkedIn was until I was like like in my third year, and we had like a workshop on like how to like interact with your link with through LinkedIn. And I was like, okay, those are like great skills that I feel like are going to be useful for them, but also for myself. And yeah, like I took all those skills. As for now, like I know I keep saying this, but I think like all the experiences that I had as like vice president and like head of staff and as a fellow, like they really helped me with communicating and just really putting myself out there and working in big groups, because we had a group in external where we were working with like more than 20 people. And then we had women in the law where we were working with like 10 girls of exec board. So it was just like those things where I was like, I can put in all these things in my resume because I know how to do them. I know how to like experience them. Whenever we had big events for like judicial and elections, I didn't shy away from like doing an event like entirely on my own. And those were great skills because I practiced like, setting up an event and having initiative and knowing how to pick up things and knowing how to like start something from scratch. And I did it. Like I did it. I hosted various events. And now when I'm, applying to like for my job right now, like there's times where we need to do like strikes and rallies, and it's over like I want to say we get like over like 500 people, and like I do have to kind of have that initiative of like, how are you gonna walk these people? How are you gonna keep them entertained? How are you gonna keep them like, advocating and all these things? And I'm just like, I did this. I was part of like law week, and I did it for women in the law where there was an issue. You know, we have conflicts. It's normal. It's a whole group that you're interacting with. How are you going to keep this like civilized, and how are you going to keep people together? So those are just things that I follow with me, as well as for like my legal journey. Having like those agendas, creating those like calendars and everything whenever I study for the ELSA. Like I'm currently studying for it. I put in like I split in the time and I say like, okay, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna start my day? How am I gonna end it? And yeah, just like applying and like internships and legal stuff and my researching skills and especially like my initiative. That's something that I carry myself from what's it called, from Women in the Law and like from all those clubs, and I'm just like I already have the skills. I know like how to start. It's just like the matter of like, you know, like knowing when. But yeah, like the tools are there. My little tool machine is there. It's just me kind of like using it and going as I go.
Who do you
Mhm.
believe helped you most during undergrad in terms of guiding you towards the legal route?
There's so many people that really, I always say that I'm very thankful to like three people. And you know, I don't say this just because I say it, but it's true. Like there's three people who really helped me. Three classmates that were extremely helpful and super patient with me. And like I said, I came in as a bio major, so I didn't know anything about CHAS. I was a CNAS. So I was like a CHAS. I had to transition. I didn't know anything, and I feel like I wasted 2 years of my life and of school. So when I applied to Women in the Law, I met the president and the founder, Andrea. She was super sweet, very helpful, helping me with as soon as I got accepted. She was like, I'm gonna kind of like put you under my wing. And she didn't let me go. She told me she was a friend, but most important, I feel like she was also a mentor. Like it never felt like she was like a boss or someone like a, even though she was the president and like the founder, it never felt like she was on top of us. It always felt like we were like side to side and we were all working together instead of like working for each other. So with her, it just felt very like natural to just, you know, ask for help. And I mean, there were so many times where I was like, I don't even know how to put this like event together. Like, what do I do? And she didn't hesitate of like telling me like, hey, it's okay, you know, let's just you know, let's start off with the basics. Like, where do you want to go? What law school do you want to tour? And let's look at the admissions council and reach out. And that's a great first step that you can do. So she was very patient with me. She was super vocal. Great person. I still talk to her. I feel like she's one of my biggest mentors in life right now. The second person would be judicial council when I also applied, and I had to get myself a little bit more involved with like student government because it's a little bit different student government than like student like organizations. It's a little bit different. Um it was her name is Alexandra Arias. She was also great. She helped me. She was very patient with me. She taught me how to like take minutes in a meeting and like agendas and how to create an agenda and how to go to like what were Senate meetings and like all those things. So she made that super easy for me to get in like transition into the world of like student government. So when I applied to external, where is the third person who is Angel, who was the EVP of external, when I transitioned into it and I applied, I came in prepared with like those skills because I had already gotten them from judicial. And same thing, Angel was super patient, great, super welcoming. He was able to like take me to like various you know, meetings, and I was kind of like his, you know, second person in command, going to Senate meetings when whenever he couldn't make it, I would step in and I would do like what's it called, like do like a public comment, and it was like super nerve-wracking, but I was like those are skills that I'm super happy that I got able to like pick up on because they're super helpful. And yeah, I mean, other than that, I think it's just I had great professors. I was part of a program called Zira, and all three professors were great. Use them over my rec letters. I email them every once in a while to check in, and I mean, obviously my classmates, the peers that I had for like women in the law and external, but yeah, like those three you know, classmates and like those other three professors were great, leading me and helping me. And I had Professor Dion who's great, and you know, she was always able to like help me. I had her for like I literally took her like all my 3/4 of my last year. So a few complicated times that happened beginning of the year, and she was able to help me. And I went to like one of her office hours, and she gave me so much information about like internships and things like that, that I was like, this is great. Like these are the type of resources that you would like to get from a professor.
And you mentioned internships. Do you mind elaborating on how that is going for you?
Yeah, so right now at the moment, I am working full time for a labor union. As for internships, I did had an internship beginning of like my, well, kind of like my summer, my beginning of like my fall-ish time. It was great. I interned at BBK, which is a legal firm, yeah, legal firm down in downtown Riverside. It's great. I really loved it there. It was just going a little bit slower pace for me. We were I was more so like on the file section, printing and stuff, and which was great, because you those are skills that kind of seem a little, silly, but they're always useful. And how to use a fax, like I learned how to use a fax, which I never had experience in my life. So it was a great experience. It was just going a little bit slower for me. So what I just wanted to do, I just wanted to focus on like the LSAT, because I feel like putting, and then that's another thing that I always emphasize, that like, studying for the LSAT is probably gonna be like, starting to study for the LSAT is probably the hardest thing, because you don't know what you're doing. So it just felt like I had to kind of like give that space to myself, and really reassure myself that I was like, okay, something that I feel like is gonna help me for the future is like studying for this exam. So I did that. Other internships that I did wasn't really an internship, but I know from MCERA, the program that I did, which is a research, we completed like a class. We did like a winter course, and then the fall, which is a great opportunity. If ever any of you have the opportunity of applying to MCERA, I highly suggest it, even though it's a research. It's more so like on the political science portion of it. It's like coding, and it's really, really great program. And like I said, you're put in like a small group of students, and you have a professor, and it feels like a one-on-one, because it's like a small class with three professors and like TA, so it's great. So after the class was over, we were able to like be in groups, which felt like an internship, because we were working for like we were working for a professor for like 3 hours per week, and we got like a stipend towards the end. So, and we come back like every once in a while. We have like those meetings where we are brought back, and they ask us like, oh, like how are you doing, like what can we help you on, like it feels like a mentor program. And yeah, internships are great. I was looking more into like a job that I felt like could fit into like like I said, I just love advocating, and I love the politics and like the government. So it's like for me, I'm like in both sides, but yeah, I think LinkedIn is a great place to look in for internships, and Handshake is also great, and there's just so many places where I'm just like, it's great, and the information is out there for us, we just gotta look into it.
Right. And you mentioned studying for the LSAT during your internships. What are you using to study?
That's a great question, because I love hearing everyone's different story on that. And the more that I, kind of like bump into people and meet, they have completely different things that I feel like I had. But when I started right away, because I'm gonna be completely transparent with everyone, I didn't start studying for that LSAT until summer of my once I had graduated. I was already like an alumni, and I was like, okay, maybe I should, start studying. I didn't, it's not because I didn't want to, but it's more so because I knew that I know how important the GPA is, and I know how important it is to like your resume and like your transcript and everything. And I really wanted to put in the time and effort. As much as I would love to say that I can multitask, I think I can, but I felt like with something super important as like the LSAT and like my GPA, I didn't want to take any risks, especially when I was doubling, like I was well, not double majoring, but I was minoring in something, and I was like super close of like not like almost not making like the enough credits for my minor. So it was just like those things where I was like, I feel like I need to focus on this. As soon as I graduated and I started to do my research on like what to study, I got two books. It's the Bible reading comp and what is it? Reading comprehension. I have it right here. And logic reasoning book. I think they're great. They're obviously they're a little bit slow paced. So if you have no idea what you're doing, this is your first time studying, I highly recommend getting those books. They're super helpful. They're like the intro for you to like know what the LSAT even is. And second thing I started using was Seven Sage. I was like, okay, I'm more set on this. I feel like I have an idea. I was using Seven Sage as long with as what's it called? As well with Khan Academy, which is, it's free. It has a bunch of videos, it has a bunch of like practice problems. But I just felt like I had the skills, like I had the initiative, but I didn't know if I was doing it right. So I ended up getting a tutor and I was like, look, I know this far. I know I'm not like far into like my studying. I'm probably like at 10% or probably even less. But I do want to make sure that I'm prepared enough. So like when test day comes in, I don't just look at the test blank and I'm like, I don't know what I'm like, answering. So that's where the tutor comes in. He helps me, he sends me like videos and he's like, it's like doing like a Q&A and he's asking me like, when do you want to take the test? Do you think it's going to take 4 months, 5 months? And like I respond and then he sends me like the format of like 4 months, like a study guide, like a day by day study guide up from here until, I don't know, August. And then every single day is like, um, broken down into like activities that I can do so I can like do it on time and still have like that time to like practice. So at the moment I'm using that. I'm checking in with my tutor, going through with the study guide, using Seven Sage. I try to use Seven Sage more so on the weekend when I have more time. And then Loophole, which is also a great book. It's very like intro, it's more like introduction, but it's very like already hands-on. It's more like an intermediate. It's already telling you things that you already know because of the Bible books that I bought. And yeah, I mean, it just works. I know some people love to just do like online tools and like programs and stuff. I feel like that was working for me for a bit because I was like, I also need to like start right from scratch. So yeah, that's what I'm using for now, but it might start, changing a bit once I'm closer to like my studying day or once I feel like I'm a little bit more advanced into my studying.
Right. And lastly, what advice would you give to other pre-law students?
I think you have to, and I know this might sound repetitive, and I know probably everyone hears it every, once in a while, but I really, really do think that we you have to love what you do. And that's something that I realized when I was a bio major. And I know I always bring up that that I was a bio major, but it's true because it's something that I witnessed and it's something that I can attest to because I experienced it. I cannot express enough, and my friends know this, but I cannot express enough how crazy the change was as a bio major me comparing to political science major me. It was such a different person. If I look at myself my first year to my fourth year, I wouldn't even think she was the same person because I was so anxious going to school as a bio major. I didn't enjoy it. And I'm a person who I'm very open about like school. I love school. Like I enjoy going to school. I enjoy waking up early. Like I just really love school. School is like was my safe space. It was like my personality when I was like involved in all these things. So when I was a bio major, I felt like going to school felt more like going to like a 9 to 5. It felt like something I had to do, not something that I didn't want it to do. Even when people would ask me, like if it were back in the day, like people would have asked me, like, hey, can you do a podcast about being a bio major? I would have been like, and say what? Like, I don't even enjoy it. Comparing it to when I was a political science and now, I'm into law and I'm doing all these things. My life changed so much because I was like, I hope I'm in the right place. Like, no one knows. Like, you're never gonna know if you're in the right place. You're never gonna know if you're truly like, this is truly what you're meant to do in life. But at least, as long as you're enjoying it, then you're confident enough that it is, at least it's like what's good for you for now. Like, it's something that makes you happy. And I think that even if it's hard to get into law school, even if it's gonna take, you know, financial commitment and stuff. I feel like if it makes you happy, it really shows when you talk about those things and when you express what you feel. And it's just such a fun thing to see it. I mean, I see it as a now that it's been like a year since I graduated, and I'm just like, I really miss school. And I if I could go back and do it all over again, I would, skip to my 2 years, my first 2 years, and go right into them. Um, into like my political science like journey. And this is something that I always tell everyone, like make sure that you're happy with what you're doing. I know it's very repetitive and I know people say it like all the time, but I promise you that once you're into something that you care about and you love, it shows. It's gonna show, and it's gonna be so much easier. Like applying to law school is gonna be, I'm not gonna say it's gonna be easier, but it's definitely gonna be more enjoyable in the aspect that you're gonna be so hopeful of like going into law tours and looking at law schools and looking at like little things that are going to make you hopeful for your future. Another thing that I love to tell people, and now that I'm, you know, out of school, and something that I miss about school is I always say like your time and how you're moving with your life is the way that you should be doing it. There's no timeline. There's no what should I be doing on my 20s, like mid 20s, or there's nothing like that. I always say that it's very important to know that whatever we're doing at this time is what we should be doing. Whatever works for you, whatever makes you happy. If you want to take a gap year, go ahead and take a gap year. I promise you that it feels like you're wasting time and it feels like you're not doing anything. But I think in like the more personal life, like no personal life, personal side for me, I've been doing great things that I was like, I would have never been able to do this if I went straight into law school, or I wouldn't have done this if I was still in like undergrad. Like I get to have a dinner with my parents sometimes, which I could have never had it when I was in undergrad, because I would come home like I would get home back like around 10 or 11 p.m. So it was hard for me. It was really, really hard to like have those little moments to myself. I've been, getting more into like um how to like you know what's it called, like those when you kind of like detoxing from social media. And I couldn't get rid of social media because I was part of like so many things of like organizations on campus, and I had to like post and repost and things like that, where I'm just like I go like a month without social media and I get so much studying done. So it's those little things where I'm just like, if you need to take 3 gap years, go ahead and take 3 gap years. Like whatever makes you happy, whatever makes you feel like you're doing good in life. Because it's your life. You see people around you and you see someone, you see people like already like applying to grad school, or like applying to this, or like having a really cool job, or moving out like out of their parents' house and buying like a car, and it's just like it's great. But just remember that that is what makes them happy. It just because they're doing so much more than what you're doing right now doesn't mean that you're in the right, like you're in the wrong like path. It just means that they're doing something that makes them happy. Maybe they might look at you and be like, damn, like that person is like, they already graduated from high school, or from college, and like I haven't done it. Like I'm just doing something else. And that's totally fine. It's your life. And there's nothing wrong with it. Like, don't compare yourself to others. Do whatever makes you happy. And then last advice that I would say, and this is more like on the academic side, connections is super important. Go to networking dinners, get business cards, talk to the guest speakers. Whenever you go to an event, make sure that you talk to the guest speaker right after the event, or if you can get like their business card and have like a coffee chat with them right after. Please, please, it's super important to know how important connections are, because the world is so small. Like it seems so big, but it's so small that you don't even know like when you might need them, or when like you could use their business card, or you can use, there's so much you can do with a business card. And there's so many good people out there that are willing to help. If you tell them that you are looking for like an internship, and that they're the type of like the firm that you're speaks to your volumes, and like speaks to kind of like what you believe in, then I promise you there's so many good people that are going to be able to like make your life a little bit easier and put you like on the right track. So yeah, connections, business cards, dinners, everything that you can. It's fun, you know, you get to like dress up and go out. And I know they're a little tedious because sometimes it's a bit of a drive and you have to stay out late. But once you get that business card and you come back home from that dinner, from like that event, it feels really, really good because it feels like you have a backup of someone who can, you know, you can get support from whenever you need. So yeah, those are my three biggest advice. And I feel like it just goes with life and like personal and academics and everything. So
Right. Thank you so much for sharing the things that you've learned with us. And I believe I can speak on behalf of women in the law that we wish you nothing but the best as you